Close your eyes for a moment and picture wealth. What do you see? Maybe it's a mansion with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Perhaps it's a sleek sports car gleaming under city lights, or a closet filled with designer suits and luxury watches. We've been taught to recognize wealth by its sparkle, its shine, its ability to make us stop and stare. But what if everything you believed about wealth was wrong? What if the truly rich aren't the ones flashing their fortune, but the ones quietly building empires in neighborhoods just like yours? What if the millionaire you've been searching for lives next door, drives a 10-year-old sedan, and shops at discount stores? This is the story of real wealth, the kind that doesn't scream for attention but whispers with power. This is the truth behind financial freedom that most people never discover until it's too late. You're watching the book Sanctuary. Dr. Thomas J. Stanley spent his entire career doing something extraordinary. He didn't study celebrities or corporate titans. He studied ordinary people who became millionaires. Born in the Bronx to a subway car driver and a homemaker, Stanley understood what it meant to start from nothing. He earned his doctorate in business administration and dedicated decades to researching the habits, lifestyles, and philosophies of America's wealthy. What he discovered shattered every stereotype about money. The Millionaire Next Door, co-authored with William D. Danko, remained on the New York Times bestseller list for 89 weeks. Why? Because it revealed something revolutionary. Most millionaires don't look like millionaires. They don't act like the wealthy people we see on television. They live below their means, budget carefully, and prioritize financial independence over social status. This audiobook journey will take you deep into the minds and lives of these invisible millionaires. You'll discover the 7 traits that separate those who accumulate wealth from those who only appear wealthy. You'll learn why frugality isn't about deprivation, it's about freedom. You'll understand why the car you drive, the neighborhood you live in, and the watch you wear have almost nothing to do with actual wealth. And most importantly, you'll walk away with a roadmap to financial independence that anyone can follow, regardless of where they start. This isn't just a book about money. It's a book about choices, discipline, and the courage to live differently in a world obsessed with appearances. Let's begin. There's a phrase in Texas that captures something profound about American society. Big hat, no cattle. It describes someone who looks the part, but has nothing to back it up. All show, no substance. When Dr. Stanley began his research, he expected to find millionaires living in penthouses and driving Ferraris. Instead, he found something far more interesting. He found men and women who looked completely ordinary, even modest. They wore affordable clothing, drove older cars, and lived in middle-class neighborhoods. Yet their bank accounts told a different story entirely. Meet the prototypical American millionaire. He's about 57 years old, married with 3 children. He's self-employed, running a business you've probably never heard of. His annual household income is around $131,000, substantial but not extraordinary. His median net worth? $1.6 million. Here's what surprises most people. He didn't inherit his wealth. His parents weren't rich. He built everything from scratch through decades of disciplined choices. He wears a suit that cost less than $300. He drives an American-made car that's at least 3 years old. He owns his home, but it's not a mansion. It's comfortable, paid for, and located in a neighborhood where people actually know their neighbors' names. This man represents something that terrifies the consumer economy. Someone who can't be manipulated by advertising. He doesn't care about impressing strangers. He doesn't need a luxury watch to feel successful. His self-worth isn't tied to his zip code or the badge on his car. What he cares about is something far more valuable than status. He cares about freedom. The freedom to retire when he wants. The freedom to help his children without going into debt. The freedom to sleep soundly at night, knowing that his future is secure regardless of what happens in the economy. Now contrast this with the people we typically associate with wealth. The ones living in expensive neighborhoods, driving leased luxury vehicles, wearing designer everything. Many of these people are what Stanley calls underaccumulators of wealth. High-income earners who are essentially broke. They make impressive salaries, sometimes $200,000 or $300,000 per year. But they spend even more. They're trapped on a treadmill of consumption, working harder and harder just to maintain an image. They live paycheck to paycheck despite earning more in a month than many families earn in a year. The research revealed something shocking. Wealth and income are not the same thing. You can have a high income and no wealth. You can have a modest income and significant wealth. The difference comes down to one critical variable: what you do with the money you earn. Do you consume it, or do you conserve it? Do you spend it on things that impress others, or do you invest it in assets that grow over time? Stanley developed a simple formula to determine whether someone is on track. Take your age, multiply it by your annual pre-tax household income, then divide by 10. That number represents what your net worth should be if you're accumulating wealth at an average rate. For example, if you're 40 years old and earn $100,000 per year, your expected net worth is $400,000. If you have twice that amount, you're a prodigious accumulator of wealth. If you have half or less, you're an underaccumulator. This formula cuts through all the noise and reveals the truth about your financial health. What fascinated Stanley most was ancestry. He studied which ethnic groups had the highest concentration of millionaires and discovered something unexpected. It wasn't the groups with the longest history in America. Recent immigrants from Russia, Scotland, and Hungary had higher rates of millionaire households than those of English ancestry. Why? Because newer Americans often maintained frugal, entrepreneurial values that built wealth. They hadn't yet been fully absorbed into America's consumer culture. They still remembered what it meant to struggle, to save, to sacrifice for the future. The invisible millionaire understands something profound about human psychology. Wealth isn't about what you show the world. It's about what you show yourself when you check your investment accounts. It's about the security you feel knowing you could survive a year without income. It's about the options you have because you're not enslaved to debt. These millionaires live among us, unrecognized and unbothered by their anonymity. They're the people you'd never suspect. And that's exactly how they like it. Dr. Stanley once organized a focus group of millionaires, spending hours preparing an elaborate spread to impress them. Gourmet cheeses, fine wines, imported delicacies, everything carefully selected to match their presumed refined tastes. When the participants arrived, they politely examined the offerings, then asked if there was any beer and pretzels. They preferred Budweiser to Bordeaux. They wanted simple food that tasted familiar. The message was clear. The truly wealthy don't need to prove anything with what they consume. This is where the journey to understanding real wealth begins, with the unglamorous, unexciting, absolutely essential principle of frugality. The word itself sounds restrictive, almost punishing, but that's a misunderstanding. Frugality isn't about deprivation. It's about intention. It's about spending money on what truly matters and refusing to waste it on what doesn't. It's about playing defense with your finances as skillfully as you play offense with your income. Johnny Lucas is the perfect embodiment of this principle. He owns a successful business and has accumulated significant wealth, yet he lives a life that would shock most people who associate success with luxury. When Stanley interviewed him in front of an audience, he asked about Johnny's clothing expenses. The audience gasped when Johnny revealed he spent about $340 annually on suits. Not per suit, total, for everything. He bought quality clothing on sale, wore it until it wore out, then replaced it. He saw no reason to spend thousands on designer labels when perfectly good alternatives existed for a fraction of the price. The same philosophy applied to his footwear, his watch, his entire lifestyle. Johnny wasn't cheap. He was strategic. He understood that every dollar spent on impressing others was a dollar not working for his future. Every unnecessary purchase was a small theft from his family's security. So he made a choice that millions of high-income earners never make. He decided to live below his means, not at the edge of them. This decision requires something difficult in modern America. the courage to be ordinary. We live in a culture that worships display. Social media has turned everyone into a performer, carefully curating an image of success. We're surrounded by messages telling us that we deserve luxury, that we've earned indulgence, that life is short, so we should spend freely. The millionaires Stanley studied rejected all of this. They found their satisfaction not in consumption, but in accumulation, not in appearing wealthy, but in becoming wealthy. Consider the role of budgeting. Most millionaires operate on annual household budgets. They know exactly how much they spend, where it goes, and whether it aligns with their long-term goals. Contrast this with high-income earners who have no idea what they spent last month, let alone last year. They assume that because money comes in regularly, they don't need to track it. This assumption destroys more financial futures than almost any other mistake. Without a budget, lifestyle inflation becomes automatic. You earn more, so you spend more, and the gap between income and wealth never closes. Stanley shares the story of a millionaire's wife who exemplified frugal values. Despite having substantial wealth, she clipped coupons, shopped sales, and made careful decisions about every purchase. Her husband credited much of their financial success to her discipline. She understood that small savings compound over time. $5 saved here, $10 there. It seems insignificant in isolation, but multiply those decisions over months and years, and they add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars that get invested instead of spent. Then there's Teddy Friend, the cautionary tale. Teddy earns a six-figure income and lives in an expensive neighborhood, surrounded by other high earners. He drives a luxury car, wears expensive clothes, and dines at exclusive restaurants. He looks successful. He feels successful, but he's drowning. His net worth is embarrassingly low relative to his income. He's an underaccumulator of wealth, trapped in a lifestyle he can't afford to leave. Why? Because his entire self-concept is built on consumption. He measures his worth by what he owns and displays, not by what he's accumulated. Every raise becomes an excuse to upgrade his lifestyle rather than upgrade his investments. The difference between Johnny Lucas and Teddy Friend isn't intelligence or opportunity. It's mindset. Johnny views money as a tool for building security. Teddy views money as a means of maintaining status. Johnny asks, "Will this purchase move me closer to financial independence?" Teddy asks, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" These two questions lead to completely different lives. The chapter on frugality reveals another critical insight. Wealthy people think differently about time. They calculate not just the dollar cost of purchases, but the time cost. If you earn $50 per hour after taxes, that $1,000 watch costs 20 hours of your life. Is the watch worth trading 20 hours? Maybe, but the millionaire thinks it through before buying. The underaccumulator doesn't think at all. He just swipes the card. Living below your means requires resisting peer pressure, advertising, and your own desires for immediate gratification. It requires believing in a future self who will thank you for today's discipline. Most people can't do this. They're wired for the present, not the future. The millionaire Stanley studied had somehow developed or inherited the ability to delay gratification, and this single trait predicted their financial outcomes better than almost anything else. Frugality isn't sexy. It won't make anyone envy you at parties. It won't earn you Instagram followers or admiring glances from strangers, but it will buy you something far more valuable: time. Time to pursue work you love instead of work that pays. Time with family because you're not enslaved to debt. Time to breathe because you're not living on the financial edge. The millionaire next door understands that the price of looking rich is staying poor, while the reward of looking ordinary is becoming free. Drive South and Drive North are both successful physicians earning substantial six-figure incomes. On paper, they look similar. In reality, they live in completely different financial worlds. Drive South worries constantly about money. Despite his high income, he feels trapped, anxious about maintaining his expensive lifestyle. His beautiful home comes with an enormous mortgage. His luxury cars come with substantial lease payments. His children attend elite private schools with tuition costs that drain his accounts. He has little saved for retirement and no clear financial plan. He's earning more than 99% of Americans, yet he feels poor. Drive North earns about the same amount, but lives entirely differently. He drives a modest car he purchased years ago. His home is comfortable but not extravagant, and he paid off the mortgage years early by making extra payments. His children attend good public schools. He and his wife cook at home most nights instead of dining out constantly. He maxes out his retirement accounts every year and invests consistently in a diversified portfolio. He doesn't worry about money because he's built a fortress of financial security through decades of disciplined choices. He feels rich because he is rich. What separates these two men isn't income or intelligence. It's how they allocate the three most valuable resources any person possesses: time, energy, and money. Prodigious accumulators of wealth, like Drive North, spend nearly twice as many hours each month planning their financial investments compared to under-accumulators like Drive South. They read investment literature, meet with advisors, research opportunities, and track their progress. UAWs spend those hours worrying about money instead of managing it. They feel anxious, but take no action to change their circumstances. They're like someone complaining about being out of shape while refusing to exercise. This pattern reveals something fundamental about wealth building. It's not passive. You don't stumble into financial independence. You don't accidentally become a millionaire. It requires intentional effort, sustained over years. The Paws understand this. They treat wealth building as a serious project, requiring regular attention. The UAWs hope that somehow, despite their high spending and lack of planning, everything will work out. Hope is not a strategy. Consider education. One might assume that more education correlates with more wealth, especially among high-income earners. The data revealed the opposite. Among wealthy individuals, those with fewer advanced degrees often had higher net worth. Why? Because those who entered the workforce earlier started earning and investing sooner. Compound interest had more time to work its magic. A doctor who spends 4 extra years in specialized training might earn more per year eventually, but he's also starting his wealth accumulation journey 4 years later, with 4 years of additional student debt. The person who started investing at 25 often ends up wealthier than the one who started at 35, even if the latter earns more annually. The research also revealed how Paws and UAWs spend money differently. Paws spend far less on luxury items, vehicles, clothing, watches, jewelry. They're not making sacrifices. They simply don't value these things. Their satisfaction comes from watching their net worth grow, not from displaying status symbols. UAWs, conversely, spend enormous amounts on items designed to signal success. They need others to see their wealth because external validation has become central to their identity. This difference extends to every category of spending. Paws spend less on housing relative to their income. They view a house as shelter, not a status symbol. They resist the urge to buy the biggest house in the best neighborhood. UAWs stretch to buy into exclusive areas, then find themselves trapped by the cost of maintaining appearances in that community. Expensive neighborhoods create expensive expectations. Your neighbors drive new luxury SUVs, so you feel pressure to do the same. Their children attend elite camps and programs, so your children must too. The neighborhood itself becomes a financial trap. Tax burden represents another critical difference. High-income UAWs pay enormous amounts in taxes because they realize most of their income annually. They earn it, spend it, and pay taxes on all of it. Paws focus on minimizing realized income and maximizing unrealized wealth. They build value in assets, businesses, real estate, investments that appreciate without triggering immediate tax liability. When they eventually sell, they pay long-term capital gains rates, which are substantially lower than ordinary income tax rates. This strategy isn't about cheating the system. It's about understanding the rules and playing the game intelligently. Drive North exemplifies this approach. He lives on a fraction of his income, allowing the rest to accumulate in tax-advantaged accounts and depreciating assets. His effective tax rate is relatively low because he's not consuming his wealth, he's building it. Drive South, meanwhile, pays maximum tax rates because he spends everything he earns. The government takes its cut, and he's left with little to show for his high income except the temporary pleasure of consumption. The allocation of time reveals another pattern. UAWs spend very little time planning because planning forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. If Drive South sat down and calculated what he'd need for retirement at his current spending rate, he'd discover he's decades behind where he should be. So he avoids the exercise entirely. Paws embrace this work. They create detailed financial plans, update them regularly, and adjust their behavior based on the results. They're not afraid of the numbers because the numbers tell a good story. Energy follows similar patterns. UAWs exhaust their energy maintaining lifestyles they can barely afford. They work long hours to generate income, then spend that income on things that require more work to maintain. The big house needs expensive repairs. The luxury car needs premium service. The exclusive club has annual dues. Everything consumes time, money, and mental energy. Paws conserve their energy by living simply. Their modest homes require less maintenance. Their older cars rarely need expensive repairs. Their simple lifestyles generate freedom rather than obligation. The story of these two doctors illustrates a profound truth. Wealth is not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep, how wisely you invest it, and how well you resist the temptation to consume it. You can earn a fortune and die broke. You can earn modestly and retire wealthy. The choice is yours, made not once but daily, in thousands of small decisions about how you allocate your time, energy, and money. The Millionaire Next Door has made those decisions wisely for decades. That's why he's wealthy while so many high-income earners struggle. Mr. W. Allen is a self-made multimillionaire who lives in the same modest neighborhood he's occupied for 40 years. He drives economical cars that he purchases used and keeps for decades. His home is comfortable but unremarkable. His clothing is practical. Nothing about his appearance suggests wealth. Yet he's built a substantial fortune through frugal living, smart investing, and running efficient businesses. When asked about his philosophy, he shares something remarkable. If your goal is to become financially secure, you'll likely attain it. But if your motive is to make money to spend money on the good life, you're never going to make it. This philosophy led Mr. Allen to do something most people would find incomprehensible. He refused a gift of a Rolls-Royce. A grateful client wanted to give him a luxury vehicle worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people would have accepted instantly. Not Mr. Allen. He understood something that escaped the gift giver. Accepting that car would change his life in ways he didn't want. Where would he park a Rolls-Royce? At the modest restaurants he enjoyed. He'd look ridiculously out of place. At his regular auto shop, they might not want to service it. The car would force him to change his behavior, his habits, his comfort zones. It would transform from a gift into an obligation, so he politely declined. This decision illustrates the deepest truth about wealth accumulation. It's not about the things you own. It's about refusing to let things own you. The millionaire Stanley studied understood that every purchase influences behavior. Buy an expensive car, and you worry about parking it, insuring it, maintaining it. Buy an expensive house, and you feel pressure to furnish it lavishly. Wear expensive clothes, and you feel obligated to frequent places that match your appearance. Objects don't just cost money, they cost freedom. The research on vehicle purchases reveals striking patterns. About 81% of millionaires purchase their vehicles rather than lease them. They spend significantly less than typical consumers, with most paying under $30,000 for their cars. They keep their vehicles longer, often driving them for 10 or more years. They view cars as transportation, not as extensions of their identity. This perspective saves them hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetimes. money that gets invested instead of depreciated. Stanley identified 4 distinct types of vehicle buyers among millionaires. The first group, new vehicle-prone dealer loyalists, buy new cars, but maintain relationships with specific dealerships. They value convenience and trust over getting the absolute best price. They're willing to pay slightly more for the peace of mind that comes from dealing with people they know. The second group, new vehicle-prone dealer shoppers, also buy new but aggressively negotiate. They research extensively, visit multiple dealerships, and refuse to pay more than necessary. They enjoy the process of finding the best deal. The third category, used vehicle-prone dealer loyalists, focus on used vehicles, but maintain dealer relationships. They believe used cars offer the best value, letting someone else absorb the initial depreciation, but they want the security of buying from established dealers rather than private parties. They've often purchased multiple vehicles from the same dealership over decades. The fourth group, used vehicle-prone shoppers, are the most frugal of all. They buy used, shop extensively, negotiate aggressively, and frequently purchase from private sellers to save every possible dollar. These individuals display the highest levels of wealth accumulation relative to their incomes. What's remarkable about all these groups is what they don't do. They don't lease vehicles to drive new luxury cars they can't afford to buy. They don't view cars as status symbols or expressions of success. They don't replace vehicles simply because new models arrive. They certainly don't define themselves by what they drive. This attitude is completely foreign to under-accumulators of wealth, who often spend 30, 40, even 50% of their annual income on vehicles. They lease luxury brands, trade them in every few years, and wonder why they're not building wealth despite high incomes. The case of Mr. JS exemplifies the new vehicle-prone dealer loyalist. He's a successful attorney who values his time above all else. He buys new cars from the same dealership every 5 to 7 years. He doesn't enjoy shopping or negotiating, so he's willing to pay retail price in exchange for a quick, comfortable transaction. He knows he's leaving money on the table, but his time is worth more than the savings. He's made a conscious trade-off, convenience over cost optimization, because his overall spending is low and his income high. This choice doesn't prevent wealth accumulation. Contrast this with Mr. TF, a used vehicle-prone dealer loyalist. He loves finding deals on quality used vehicles. He maintains a decades-long relationship with a local dealer who alerts him when desirable cars come in. He's purchased 7 vehicles from the same salesman over 20 years. He never pays more than $15,000 for a car and drives each one until repair costs make replacement sensible. This approach has saved him hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to peers who buy new luxury vehicles. Those savings, invested consistently, have helped him build substantial wealth. The chapter reveals that vehicle purchasing behavior correlates strongly with overall financial discipline. Those who buy used and shop carefully tend to budget rigorously in all areas of life. Those who lease luxury vehicles they can't afford usually display financial carelessness in other categories too. Your car choices predict your financial future more accurately than most people realize. Mr. Allen offers a final piece of wisdom. Money should never change one's values. Making money is only a report card. It's a way to tell how you're doing. For him, wealth is not a license to indulge. It's confirmation that his system works. He continues living modestly not because he has to but because he wants to. This is authentic freedom, the ability to live according to your values regardless of what others think. The millionaire next door doesn't need a luxury car to feel successful. His success lives in his investment accounts, in his family security, in his ability to sleep soundly at night knowing his future is secure. The person driving the leased Mercedes to impress strangers has confused wealth with its opposite. He's enslaved himself to appearances, while the millionaire next door drives past in his 10-year-old sedan, wealthier and freer than the flashy spender could ever imagine. Mary grew up in an affluent household. Her parents built substantial wealth through business success and disciplined living. When she married Lamar, her parents were relieved that she'd found someone charming and ambitious. What they didn't anticipate was how their generosity would fundamentally alter their daughter's financial future. Every year, Mary's parents give the couple substantial cash gifts. These gifts allow Mary and Lamar to maintain an impressive lifestyle, sending their children to expensive private schools, driving nice cars, living in an upscale neighborhood. To outside observers, they look successful and financially secure. The reality is starkly different. Without those annual gifts, Mary and Lamar couldn't afford their lifestyle. They've structured their entire existence around receiving money from Mary's parents. This dependence has created a quiet panic about the future. What happens when Mary's parents are gone? What happens if they stop giving? The couple has no plan, no savings to speak of, no ability to maintain their current standard of living on their own income. They're not building wealth, they're consuming someone else's. This pattern represents what Stanley calls economic outpatient care, or EOC. It's the substantial financial support affluent parents provide to their adult children, and it creates outcomes that surprise most people. Parents offering significant EOC often have less accumulated wealth than parents whose children are financially independent. The children receiving EOC accumulate less wealth despite appearing affluent. The system creates dependency, reduces initiative, and substitutes consumption for accumulation. The research revealed shocking statistics. The more money adult children receive in gifts, the less wealth they accumulate on their own. Those who receive the most gifts have the lowest net worth relative to their income. Those who receive nothing or minimal support tend to accumulate the most. The relationship is inverse and powerful. Generosity, it turns out, often cripples its recipients. Why does this happen? Several forces combine to create this outcome. First, recipients of gifts adjust their lifestyles upward to match their total cash flow, not their earned income. They buy homes and cars and send children to schools based on what they have available, including gifts. When the gifts stop, their earning power can't support these choices. Second, receiving substantial gifts reduces urgency about building wealth independently. Why save aggressively when your parents can help if problems arise? The safety net becomes a trap. Third, gifts distort the recipient's understanding of wealth. Mary and Lamar see their parents' wealth as partially theirs. They don't distinguish clearly between their own financial position and their parents'. This confusion leads to spending decisions that make no sense based on their actual income. Fourth, the habit of receiving weakens the habit of earning. When substantial money comes from gifts rather than work, recipients never develop the discipline required to generate wealth themselves. They become financially infantilized, incapable of standing on their own. The chapter contrasts two brothers, Henry and Josh, to illustrate these principles. Henry is a high school teacher earning a modest salary. Josh is an attorney earning 4 times what Henry makes. Yet Henry's net worth is substantially higher than Josh's. How is this possible? Henry received no financial help from his parents. He learned to live on what he earned, to save consistently, to spend carefully. Josh received regular gifts that allowed him to maintain a lifestyle beyond his means. He drives a luxury car, lives in an expensive home, and never questions his spending because, in the back of his mind, his parents can help if needed. Henry married a woman with similar values. Together they budget rigorously, invest their surplus, and live well below their means. They drive older cars, vacation modestly, and find satisfaction in building their own security. Josh married someone who also came from wealth, and together they've created a high-consumption lifestyle supported partially by parental gifts. They're trapped in a pattern neither can escape, without dramatically lowering their standard of living. The research found that gift receivers, on average, have 20% lower net worth than non-receivers with similar incomes. They also carry more credit card debt, have less saved for retirement, and feel more anxious about money despite receiving gifts meant to ease financial pressure. The gifts have accomplished the opposite of their intended effect. Instead of providing security, they've created dependency and anxiety. Stanley offers specific recommendations for affluent parents. First, never give cash gifts to adult children without a specific, productive purpose. Don't subsidize consumption. If you want to help, pay for education that enhances earning power. Help with a business startup that creates future income. Fund training or certifications that improve employability. These investments empower rather than enable. Second, avoid creating expectations of inheritance. Don't discuss your wealth with your children in ways that allow them to count on receiving it. Let any inheritance be a surprise, not a plan. Third, recognize that the greatest gift you can give is discipline and self-reliance. Children who learn to live on what they earn develop capabilities that serve them for life. Children who receive regular cash gifts never develop these muscles. You're weakening them while trying to help. Fourth, if you do provide help, attach it to achievements rather than needs. A gift celebrating a professional milestone or business success reinforces the right behaviors. A gift that covers overspending reinforces the wrong ones. The story of Mary and Lamar ends with a cautionary note. When Mary's father passed away, the trust he established did not release funds to Mary and Lamar as they expected. It had been structured to provide for Mary's mother during her lifetime, with principal passing to grandchildren later. Mary and Lamar faced a crisis. They could no longer afford their lifestyle. They had to sell their home, pull their children from private schools, and dramatically reduce spending. It was devastating and completely avoidable if they'd built their lives on what they could earn rather than what they could receive. Economic outpatient care represents love expressed in ways that harm its recipients. Affluent parents mean well, but their generosity often produces the opposite of financial independence. The Millionaire Next Door understands this. He helps his children become self-sufficient, not dependent. He teaches them to earn, save, invest, and live within their means. He knows the greatest inheritance isn't money. It's the ability to generate money. That's a gift that truly keeps on giving across generations, building strength rather than weakness. Victor and Martha built substantial wealth over 40 years of hard work and frugal living. They own a successful business, live modestly, and have accumulated several $1 million in assets. They have 3 adult children, Anne, Beth, and Paul. As they plan their estate, Victor and Martha face a dilemma that millions of affluent parents struggle with: how to distribute wealth fairly among children whose financial circumstances differ dramatically. Anne is a successful attorney, married to another attorney. Together they earn substantial income and have built impressive wealth on their own. They live frugally, invest consistently, and need no financial help from anyone. Beth is a housewife married to a man who earns a modest income as a teacher. They struggle financially, especially with 3 children in expensive private schools. They depend on regular gifts from Victor and Martha to maintain their lifestyle. Paul is an entrepreneur whose business has had ups and downs. Sometimes he's flush with cash. Other times he needs loans from his parents to cover expenses. Victor and Martha face questions that have no easy answers. Should they divide their estate equally, even though Anne doesn't need money while Beth and Paul do? Should they account for the substantial gifts they've already given Beth and Paul when calculating the final distribution? Should they consider the private school tuition they've paid for Beth's children when determining fairness? What about the fact that Anne has built wealth through her own efforts while her siblings haven't? These questions reveal something important about modern affluent families. Financial independence among adult children is rare, especially among daughters. Stanley's research found that affluent parents provide substantially more financial support to daughters than sons, and more to housewives than career women. This pattern has created what he calls economic affirmative action for women, a systematic transfer of wealth from affluent parents to daughters, supposedly to compensate for gender-based income disparities in society. The research identified 2 types of housewives among affluent families. Type A housewives come from wealthy families and marry wealthy men. They often have excellent educations, but choose not to pursue careers, instead focusing on family and community involvement. They receive substantial inheritances, but don't depend on them because their husband's income is high. They're treated as peers within their families, given respect and authority. Type B housewives also come from wealthy families, but marry men with lower earning potential. They live beyond their husband's means, depending on regular gifts from their affluent parents to maintain their lifestyles. They're treated more like dependents than peers, with less voice in family decisions. Their parents help them financially, but often resent the ongoing obligation. Beth represents the Type B housewife. Despite her husband's decent income, she feels entitled to a lifestyle that matches her parents' wealth. She sends her children to schools she can't afford, drives a car beyond her means, and decorates her home with items she couldn't purchase without parental gifts. Her parents have enabled this by providing regular cash infusions. In doing so, they've prevented Beth from developing financial discipline and self-sufficiency. The chapter introduces Sarah, a remarkable counterexample. Sarah's father was wealthy but refused to provide ongoing financial support to his adult children. When Sarah chose to become a teacher rather than pursue a more lucrative career, he was disappointed but didn't rescue her financially. She and her husband lived on their combined modest incomes, budgeted carefully, and bought a small home they could afford. Over the years, Sarah developed excellent financial discipline. She shopped sales, cooked at home, and invested small amounts consistently. When Sarah's father died, he left a substantial inheritance structured in a trust. Sarah was surprised to discover how much she'd receive. But here's what shocked her father's attorney. Sarah didn't immediately spend the inheritance. She continued living modestly, treating the inheritance as a security buffer rather than a lifestyle upgrade. She'd learned to live on her own income, and that discipline had become permanent. The inheritance made her wealthy, but her habits had already made her financially free. The contrast between Sarah and Beth is stark. Beth's parents tried to help by giving gifts throughout her life. Those gifts weakened her, creating dependency and preventing financial maturity. Sarah's father refused such gifts, forcing her to develop her own strength. When he finally provided wealth through inheritance, she had the discipline to handle it wisely. His neglect was actually the greatest gift, the gift of self-reliance. Stanley's research found that affluent parents often give more to weak children, thinking they're helping. Instead, they're weakening them further. The child who receives the most help accumulates the least wealth. The child who receives the least help often becomes the most financially successful. It's a paradox that troubles parents who naturally want to support struggling children. But the data is clear. Economic outpatient care produces economic invalids. The chapter explores the difficult emotions surrounding these dynamics. And the successful daughter who built wealth independently sometimes feels resentful watching her parents subsidize her siblings. She worked hard, made sacrifices, and lived frugally to achieve financial independence. Meanwhile, Beth receives gift after gift for making poor financial choices. Is this fair? And doesn't say anything because she doesn't want to appear greedy or cause family conflict. But the resentment simmers beneath the surface. Victor and Martha struggle with guilt. They feel they should treat all their children equally, but equal treatment seems to mean rewarding irresponsibility while ignoring achievement. They wonder if they failed Beth somehow. Maybe if they'd been stricter earlier, she would have developed better financial habits. Maybe their generosity created the problem they're now trying to solve. These are questions without comfortable answers. The research revealed something else troubling. Children who receive substantial economic outpatient care often have children who expect the same. Beth's children are growing up in a home where grandparents provide financial rescue regularly. They're learning that if you overspend, family will bail you out. They're not learning budgeting, sacrifice, or the connection between earning and spending. The pattern threatens to continue across generations. Drive North, a millionaire physician Stanley interviewed, offered his perspective on this issue. He structured his estate in a way that prevented his children from receiving substantial wealth until they were at least 40 years old. His reasoning was profound. By that age, they'll either have developed a discipline to handle money wisely, or they'll have proven they lack it. Either way, the money won't destroy them because their character will already be formed. He understood that giving wealth to young adults often prevents them from developing the very qualities needed to preserve that wealth. Drive North also shared advice he gave his children. Tell your children that there are a lot of things more valuable than money. Good health, longevity, happiness, a loving family, self-reliance, fine friends. If you can have just 5 of these, you're rich. Money without these isn't wealth at all. He wanted his children to understand that financial independence was only one component of a good life, and perhaps not even the most important one. The chapter offers guidance for affluent parents facing these decisions. First, recognize that different treatment is not the same as unfair treatment. If one child is self-sufficient and another is dependent, treating them identically means punishing the responsible child and rewarding the irresponsible one. Fair means appropriate, not identical. Second, communicate clearly about expectations. Don't let children build their lives around assumptions about inheritance. Make it clear that your wealth is yours to use as you see fit, potentially including charitable giving or spending it all before you die. Third, consider that the greatest inheritance is not money but capability. If you can teach your children to earn, save, invest, and live within their means, you've given them something far more valuable than a trust fund. They'll be able to build wealth regardless of what they inherit. Fourth, if you do want to help financially, structure that help to encourage independence rather than dependence. Match their retirement savings. Contribute to education expenses that enhance earning power. Support business ventures that could generate future income. Avoid subsidizing consumption or rescuing them from poor financial decisions. The story of one family illustrates these principles powerfully. The Williamses had 3 children. The oldest, Richard, was self-sufficient and built substantial wealth through his medical practice. The middle child, Susan, married young and depended heavily on parental support. The youngest, Michael, struggled with various business ventures that often failed. Over the years, the parents gave Susan and Michael hundreds of thousands of dollars in gifts and loans. Richard received almost nothing because he didn't need help. When the parents died, they divided their estate equally among all 3 children. Richard was stunned. He'd built his own wealth and never asked for anything. His siblings had received enormous support during the parents' lifetime and now received equal inheritances on top of that. The parents had structured their estate this way because equal treatment seemed fairest. But Richard saw it differently. His siblings had received a fortune in lifetime gifts plus their inheritance share. He'd received only his inheritance share. The supposed equal treatment was actually dramatically unequal when lifetime gifts were considered. This situation destroyed family harmony. Richard felt betrayed and angry. His siblings felt entitled to what they'd received and couldn't understand his perspective. The parents, thinking they'd been fair, had actually created lasting family conflict by failing to account for the substantial differences in lifetime support provided to each child. Stanley's recommendation is clear. If you give substantially to some children during your lifetime, account for those gifts when structuring your estate. Keep careful records of money provided to each child. When you die, adjust the final distribution to equalize lifetime transfers, not just the final inheritance. This approach rewards the child who achieved independence while ensuring that dependent children receive their fair share overall. It's more complex to execute, but far more just in its outcome. The deeper lesson is about the nature of parental love and responsibility. Parents naturally want to help struggling children. This instinct is beautiful and human, but helping in ways that create permanent dependency is not loving, it's harmful. True parental love means preparing children to face life's challenges independently, even when that preparation is difficult and uncomfortable. It means sometimes refusing to help, not because you're cruel, but because you're wise enough to know that some forms of help hurt rather than heal. The millionaire next door often comes from families that provided little financial support. He learned early that he'd have to build his own security. So he developed the habits and mindset necessary to do so. His children, watching him model discipline and frugality, absorbed those values. They became financially independent not despite receiving less help but because of it. The gift of self-reliance, it turns out, is the most valuable inheritance any parent can provide. The future of wealth in America looks dramatically different from its past. Over the next decade, an estimated $2 trillion will pass through estates valued at $1 million or more. Most of this wealth will go to widows first, then eventually to children and grandchildren. This massive intergenerational transfer of wealth will create enormous opportunities for those smart enough to position themselves to serve the affluent and their heirs. Understanding this opportunity requires recognizing a paradox about wealthy people. They're frugal about many things, but willing to spend freely on services they consider important. They'll drive a 10-year-old car, but pay premium fees for excellent financial advice. They'll shop at discount stores for clothing, but hire the best attorneys to structure their estates. They'll avoid expensive restaurants, but pay top dollar for private schools for their grandchildren. Knowing what the affluent will and won't spend on is the key to building a successful business serving this market. Stanley identifies specific professions positioned to benefit enormously from America's growing population of wealthy individuals. Estate attorneys top the list. As millions of affluent people face mortality, they need sophisticated legal guidance to minimize taxes and ensure smooth wealth transfer. The average estate settlement fee for an estate valued at $1 million ranges from $30,000 to $70,000. With hundreds of thousands of such estates in the coming decades, attorneys specializing in this field will earn substantial incomes. Tax attorneys will also thrive. As wealth concentration increases, governments will inevitably raise taxes on the affluent to address deficits and fund programs. Wealthy individuals will desperately need advisors who can legally minimize their tax burden. The attorney who can save a client $500,000 in taxes can easily justify a $100,000 fee. These specialists become essential partners to the wealthy, valued far more than general practitioners. Immigration attorneys represent another growth area. As global instability increases and economic opportunities shift, affluent foreigners will seek U.S. citizenship for themselves and their families. The wealthy don't wait in standard immigration queues. They hire specialists who understand investor visas, business immigration, and other pathways available to those with substantial assets. An immigration attorney who can successfully navigate this process for a wealthy foreign family can command fees of $50,000 or more per case. Medical and dental professionals who serve the affluent will also prosper. Wealthy people and their families will spend enormous amounts on healthcare. They want the best doctors, the most advanced treatments, and immediate access to care. They're willing to pay premium prices for excellence. Cosmetic surgeons, concierge physicians, periodontists, orthodontists, specialists who provide services the wealthy value, but insurance doesn't fully cover, will build thriving practices serving this demographic. Asset liquidators and appraisers will find substantial opportunity. When someone inherits valuable collections, art, antiques, jewelry, wine, they often need to sell these items to convert them to cash or fairly distribute them among heirs. Professional appraisers and liquidators who understand these markets and can maximize value while handling transactions professionally will earn significant fees. The wealthy demand expertise and are willing to pay for it. Educational professionals and institutions will benefit tremendously. Affluent grandparents routinely fund private school tuition, tutoring, test preparation, and college expenses for their grandchildren. They view education as among the best investments they can make. Private schools that serve this market, tutoring companies that prepare children for elite institutions, and educational consultants who guide families through the admissions process will all find eager customers willing to pay premium prices. Financial advisors and wealth managers represent perhaps the greatest opportunity. Managing substantial wealth is complex and time-consuming. The affluent need help with investment selection, asset allocation, tax optimization, estate planning, insurance, and dozens of other financial matters. A skilled advisor managing $50 million in client assets might earn $500,000 annually in fees. The best advisors build practices worth millions themselves by helping clients build and preserve wealth. Accountants who specialize in serving affluent clients and their businesses will also thrive. The wealthy need sophisticated accounting services, business accounting, personal tax preparation, entity structuring, audit support. A CPA who becomes indispensable to a stable of affluent clients builds a practice that generates substantial income and can be sold for a significant multiple of annual revenue when the accountant retires. Real estate professionals who understand the housing needs of the affluent and their children will find opportunity. Wealthy parents often help adult children purchase homes, either through gifts, loans, or co-signing mortgages. These transactions create commissions for real estate agents who understand the dynamics of family wealth transfer. Additionally, the affluent themselves periodically buy and sell properties, generating fees for agents who serve this market well. The chapter emphasizes geographic considerations. Affluent households are not evenly distributed across America. Certain states, California, New York, Florida, Texas, contain disproportionate concentrations of wealth. Certain metropolitan areas, San Francisco, New York City, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, have particularly high densities of millionaire households. Professionals who position themselves in these markets gain access to far more potential clients than those in areas with fewer affluent residents. Beyond geography, understanding the values and behaviors of the affluent is crucial. They value competence over charm. They want results, not smooth sales pitches. They respect professionals who are straightforward, knowledgeable, and efficient. They despise being patronized or treated as though their wealth makes them superior. The most successful advisors to the wealthy treat them as smart, accomplished individuals who need specialized expertise in areas outside their own experience. The affluent also value discretion absolutely. They don't want their financial affairs discussed. They don't want their names dropped by professionals seeking to impress other potential clients. They want confidentiality, privacy, and trustworthiness. Professionals who demonstrate these qualities build long-term relationships that generate referrals within the tight networks the wealthy often belong to. Stanley shares the story of an accountant who built a thriving practice serving affluent entrepreneurs. He didn't advertise or do any traditional marketing. Instead, he became known for three things: deep expertise in business taxation, absolute discretion about client affairs, and availability when clients needed him. He might charge premium fees, but he answered calls on weekends when a client faced a time-sensitive decision. He reviewed contracts late at night when deals were closing. His clients valued this responsiveness and referred friends and business associates, allowing him to build a practice generating over $1 million annually. Another example involves a financial advisor who specialized in working with widows who'd recently inherited substantial wealth. These women often felt overwhelmed and vulnerable. They needed someone patient, educational, and trustworthy. He built his practice on referrals from estate attorneys who knew he would treat their clients with respect and competence. Over time, he built a book of business, managing hundreds of millions of dollars for clients who appreciated his low-key, educational approach. The key to serving the affluent successfully is solving real problems they face. They don't need more salespeople trying to sell them things. They need genuine expertise applied to their specific situations. The attorney who can save taxes, the doctor who can solve a medical problem, the advisor who can simplify complex financial decisions. These professionals become valued and well compensated. There's also opportunity in serving those who will inherit wealth. The heirs to affluent estates often need different services than their parents required. They might need help learning to manage money, guidance on investing inherited assets, or advice on career decisions now that they have financial security. Professionals who position themselves to serve this next generation, providing financial education, career counseling, or investment guidance tailored to younger inheritors, will find a growing market. The chapter concludes with a powerful insight. The greatest business opportunities often involve serving people during important life transitions: inheritance, retirement, business sale, divorce, relocation. These events create urgent needs for specialized services. The professional who understands these transition moments and can provide valuable help will build a successful practice regardless of economic conditions. The affluent will always need competent professionals. The question is whether you'll position yourself to serve them. The millionaire next door built his wealth partly by avoiding unnecessary spending on consumer goods, but he's always willing to pay for services that protect or grow his wealth. Understanding this distinction is the key to building a business that serves the affluent successfully. Offer them genuine value, demonstrate competence, maintain discretion, and you'll find a market willing to pay premium fees for excellence. Self-employed people are 4 times more likely to be millionaires than those who work for others. This statistic surprises many people who view entrepreneurship as risky and employment as secure. But millionaires see it exactly opposite. They view having a single employer as the ultimate risk. All your income depends on one organization's continued success and their continued desire to employ you. Entrepreneurs, by contrast, have multiple customers. Losing one is inconvenient but not catastrophic. This perspective requires a fundamental shift in how you think about security. Mr. W built substantial wealth operating in what most people would consider an unglamorous industry. He owns several small businesses that provide essential services. Nothing he does is exciting or innovative. He's not disrupting any industries or building the next big thing. He simply serves customers well, controls costs carefully, and accumulates the profits. Over decades, this boring approach has made him wealthy, while more exciting entrepreneurs who chase trends have come and gone. His story illustrates something crucial. Profitable businesses are often dull. They involve routine work, consistent execution, and patient accumulation rather than dramatic breakthroughs. The millionaire next door typically operates in what Stanley calls dull normal businesses: pest control, janitorial services, commercial roofing, industrial equipment repair. These businesses don't get featured in magazines or generate excitement at parties, but they generate steady income and, when operated efficiently, produce substantial profits. Why are dull normal businesses so profitable? First, they face less competition because fewer people want to enter unglamorous industries. Ambitious college graduates dream of starting tech companies or consulting firms, not janitorial services. This means less crowding in these markets. Second, customers in these industries value reliability over flash. They need their pest problem solved, their building cleaned, their equipment repaired. The company that does good work consistently wins the business. Third, these industries often have high barriers to entry: licenses, equipment, expertise, reputation that protect established players from new competition. The research found that self-employed professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants, have even higher wealth accumulation rates than business owners in general. This makes sense when you consider the economics. A successful attorney or doctor generates high income with relatively low overhead. They don't need expensive inventory, manufacturing facilities, or large teams. Their expertise is their product, and that product is highly portable and difficult for competitors to replicate. Their main investment is in education and skill development, which can't be destroyed by market changes or technological disruption. This explains why affluent parents so often encourage their children to pursue professional careers rather than take over family businesses. They understand that professional education provides portable, valuable skills that will generate income across a lifetime. A business can fail, be disrupted by technology, or face unexpected market changes, but a skilled surgeon, attorney, or engineer can always generate income. The intellectual capital gained through professional education is arguably the most secure asset anyone can possess. Stanley introduces the concept of courage in entrepreneurship. He defines it not as the absence of fear, but as the ability to act despite fear. Every successful entrepreneur he studied acknowledged feeling afraid, of failure, of losing money, of making mistakes. But they acted anyway. They started businesses without guaranteed success. They invested resources with uncertain returns. They took risks that kept them awake at night. What separated them from those who remained employed was not fearlessness, but the willingness to move forward despite fear. This courage often comes from having no alternative. Many millionaires shared stories of starting businesses because they'd lost jobs, couldn't find work that paid enough, or felt trapped in careers they hated. Necessity forced them into entrepreneurship. Once they succeeded, they wondered why they'd ever considered working for someone else. The freedom, control, and financial upside of business ownership far outweighed the supposed security of employment. The chapter shares the story of Mr. W's confrontation with his homeowners association. He'd purchased property in an upscale community and built a modest home there. He loved the natural setting and quiet environment, but he also brought his beloved dog, a large, friendly animal that some neighbors found intimidating. The homeowners association, driven by a few vocal residents, pressured him to get rid of the dog. They suggested it didn't fit the community's image. Mr. W faced a choice. He could conform, give up his dog, and fit in with neighbors who judged people by superficial standards. Or he could maintain his values and face social ostracism. He chose his values. He kept his dog and ignored the complaints. When the pressure continued, he eventually decided to sell the property and relocate to a more welcoming community. He refused to compromise what mattered to him for the approval of people who valued appearances over character. This incident illustrates a broader truth about wealth accumulation. It requires being willing to be different, to ignore social pressure, to prioritize your values over others' expectations. The underaccumulators of wealth in that community cared deeply what neighbors thought. They judged each other by visible status symbols. They felt compelled to conform to community standards even when those standards conflicted with their values or financial interests. Mr. W, secure in his wealth and identity, felt no such compulsion. He lived according to his own standards, regardless of what others thought. The research identified key characteristics common among successful business owners. They tend to be highly disciplined, maintaining regular work schedules and routines even though they're self-employed. They set clear goals and track progress toward them rigorously. They understand their business's financials in detail, not just revenue but profit margins, customer acquisition costs, and return on investment for every expenditure. They're honest with themselves about what's working and what isn't, willing to pivot when necessary. They also tend to love what they do. This doesn't mean they enjoy every moment. Running a business involves plenty of tedious, difficult work, but they find satisfaction in building something, serving customers, solving problems, and watching their enterprises grow. This intrinsic motivation sustains them through inevitable setbacks and challenges. Employees often work primarily for paychecks. Entrepreneurs work for something larger: autonomy, purpose, the satisfaction of creating value. Stanley found that millionaire business owners often come from families that modeled entrepreneurship or at least independence. Many had parents who were self-employed, teaching them early that working for oneself was viable. Others had parents who, while employed, encouraged independence and self-reliance in their children. Very few came from families that emphasized climbing corporate ladders or seeking security in large organizations. The chapter also addresses the reality that most small businesses fail. This is true and well documented, but Stanley's research focused on survivors, those who made businesses work. What did they do differently? First, they started businesses in fields where they had genuine expertise. They weren't pursuing trendy opportunities, but rather building on skills and knowledge they developed over years. Second, they managed risk carefully. often starting businesses as side ventures while maintaining income from employment. They tested ideas before betting everything. Third, they lived frugally even as their businesses grew. They didn't let business success inflate their personal spending. They reinvested profits into their businesses or diversified into other investments. They maintained the discipline that helped them succeed initially. Fourth, they were patient. They built wealth over decades, not quarters. They resisted pressure to grow faster than was sustainable. They prioritized profitability over growth, understanding that a smaller, profitable business is far more valuable than a larger, unprofitable one. The self-employed professionals Stanley studied shared similar traits. Doctors and lawyers who built wealth did so by living well below their means despite high incomes. They avoided the luxury spending trap that catches many high-income professionals. They invested consistently in diversified portfolios rather than trying to time markets or chase high-risk opportunities. They often had spouses who shared their frugal values and supported their long-term financial goals. One physician described his philosophy: "I never confused a high income with wealth. Many of my colleagues who earn more than I do have less net worth because they spend everything they make. I always knew that wealth came from saving and investing, not from earning. So I lived like a resident for years after completing training, putting away substantial portions of my income. By the time I turned 40, I could have retired. I kept working because I love what I do, but I've always had the freedom to stop. That freedom is worth more than any luxury car or fancy vacation." This perspective, that freedom is the ultimate luxury, appears repeatedly in interviews with millionaires. They've discovered that financial independence provides options that conspicuous consumption can never deliver. The person driving the least luxury car often can't afford to quit a job they hate. The person driving the older paid-off car can walk away whenever they choose. Which person is truly wealthy? The answer is obvious when you think about it, but modern consumer culture works hard to obscure this truth. The chapter concludes with an invitation to examine your own relationship with risk, security, and courage. Are you staying in a situation that feels safe, but limits your potential? Are you afraid to pursue opportunities because they lack guaranteed outcomes? Are you letting others define what success should look like for you? The Millionaire Next Door answered these questions by choosing courage over comfort, independence over false security, and authentic values over social approval. The same choice is available to you. We've journeyed through the surprising world of real wealth, and what have we discovered? That almost everything popular culture teaches about money is wrong. The millionaire doesn't live in the mansion on the hill. He lives next door in the modest house you barely notice. He doesn't drive the luxury car commanding attention. He drives the reliable sedan that gets him where he needs to go. He doesn't wear designer labels or flash expensive watches. He wears practical clothing that lasts and tells time with a watch that works. The millionaire next door built his wealth through choices, not luck, through discipline, not inheritance, through years of small decisions that compounded into financial freedom. He budgeted when others spent freely. He invested when others consumed. He lived below his means when others stretched beyond theirs. He prioritized independence over impression, substance over style, future security over present pleasure. He understood that wealth is not what you display, but what you accumulate. It's not about looking rich, but about becoming free. It's not about impressing strangers, but about securing your family's future. It's not about the size of your home, but the size of your investment portfolio. It's not about what you earn, but about what you keep and how wisely you invest it. The path to wealth isn't mysterious or complicated. It doesn't require genius, luck, or family connections. It requires living below your means. It requires budgeting, planning, and tracking your progress. It requires investing consistently over decades. It requires resisting social pressure to consume conspicuously. It requires valuing financial independence above social status. It requires discipline when everyone around you is indulging. It requires patience when the world offers instant gratification. It requires courage to live differently in a culture that worships appearance. The Millionaire Next Door teaches us that frugality isn't deprivation, it's liberation. That older cars and modest homes aren't sacrifices, they're strategies. That refusing to keep up with the Joneses isn't about being cheap, it's about being wise. That saying no to consumption is saying yes to freedom. That every dollar not spent on impressing others is a dollar working for your future. He teaches us that helping our children become financially independent is more loving than subsidizing their dependence. That teaching them to earn, save, and invest is more valuable than leaving them a trust fund. That letting them struggle builds strength, while rescuing them builds weakness. That the greatest inheritance isn't money, but the character to generate money. He teaches us that real security comes from multiple income sources, not from depending on a single employer. That entrepreneurship, despite its apparent risks, offers more control over your destiny than employment. That boring, unglamorous businesses often generate more wealth than exciting ones. That professional expertise is portable wealth that can never be taken from you. He teaches us that true wealth provides options. The option to retire early or to keep working because you love it. The option to help family without going into debt. The option to weather economic storms without panic. The option to pursue opportunities without fear. The option to live according to your values, regardless of what others think. These options, this freedom, represent real wealth. Everything else is just consumer goods that depreciate. Dr. Thomas Stanley's research revealed that becoming a millionaire is achievable for anyone willing to make the necessary choices. It doesn't require a six-figure income, though that helps. It doesn't require perfect investments, though wise investing matters. It doesn't require extraordinary luck, though some luck never hurts. It requires ordinary discipline applied consistently over decades. It requires making the less glamorous choice repeatedly until those choices compound into extraordinary results. The Millionaire Next Door isn't special in terms of intelligence or talent. He's special in terms of discipline and perspective. He sees through the illusion that consumption equals success. He understands that social status and financial health are often inversely related. He recognizes that the people trying hardest to look wealthy are usually the least financially secure, and he's willing to appear ordinary while becoming extraordinary. As you return to your life after this journey, you face a choice. Will you continue playing the game the way you've been playing it? Or will you change the rules? Will you keep chasing the appearance of wealth? Or will you start building the reality of it? Will you let society define success for you? Or will you define it for yourself? Will you spend your life working to impress others? Or will you work to secure your own freedom? The Millionaire Next Door has shown you another way. A path less traveled, but far more rewarding. A road that doesn't look impressive from the outside, but leads to destinations most people only dream of reaching. A journey that requires sacrifice, but delivers freedom. A choice that seems difficult today, but gets easier with every disciplined decision you make. You don't need to become wealthy to benefit from these lessons. Even modest progress toward financial independence improves your life. Every dollar saved and invested is $1 closer to freedom. Every unnecessary expense eliminated is one step further from financial anxiety. Every month that you spend less than you earn is 1 month building rather than depleting your future options. The book's message is ultimately hopeful. Wealth is not reserved for the lucky few. It's available to the disciplined many. Financial independence is not a distant fantasy. It's a realistic goal achievable through choices you control. The Millionaire Next Door was once exactly where you are. He simply chose differently, consistently, for decades. That choice remains available to you, starting today. So look around your neighborhood with new eyes. The millionaire might be the quiet neighbor in the modest house, the one who drives the older car and doesn't talk about money, the one who seems ordinary but radiates contentment, the one who's built something real while others build facades, the one who understands that true wealth whispers while poverty shouts. You could become that person. You could be the millionaire next door. Not because you inherit wealth or win the lottery, but because you choose discipline over indulgence, investment over consumption, freedom over appearance. Because you recognize that the real luxury isn't the sports car or the mansion. It's the ability to live life on your terms, secure in the knowledge that you've built something lasting. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the Book Sanctuary and let the world of words inspire your soul. Until next time, may you find the courage to live according to your values, the discipline to build real wealth, and the wisdom to recognize that true riches aren't found in what you display, but in what you become.